college students crushed to death, some trapped when a campus tradition turns deadly. The investigation of Flight 990. What really happened? Now, Egyptian officials hear the cockpit tapes. Boris Yeltsin and Bill Clinton squaring off over Chechnya as the war drives more refugees into the cold. And breaking through, women on the job. The billionaire who wears jeans to work.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. This was to have been a big Thanksgiving week at Texas A&M, home of the Aggies and a storied football tradition. The Aggies were getting ready for their annual game against the University of Texas Longhorns, and in the Lone Star State, it just doesn't get any bigger. But tonight, Texas is in mourning. In College Station, a huge pile of logs set up for the traditional bonfire collapsed. At least 8 students are dead. NBC's Jim Cummins tonight on the crisis on campus.
2:20 this morning, the 45-foot pyramid of logs, many the size of telephone poles, collapses on more than 70 Texas A&M students who are building it for a bonfire next weekend. More than 100 rescue workers rush to the scene. At least 1,000 other students look on. And several hours later, the first official word from the university about deaths and injuries.
We do know that we have 3 student deaths.
And dozens of injuries, several critical. At this point, nobody knows how many people are trapped under the pile. By mid-morning, one of the survivors, Caleb Hill, describes working on the center pole of the pyramid.
I was up there, I just wired a log in. About 20 seconds later, it came down around.
He was lucky. It fell away from him. His only injuries, broken arm and nose. At noon, A&M President Ray Bowen says 6 are now confirmed dead.
It's a great tragedy. Everybody is brokenhearted about what has happened.
The search for survivors continues with super-sensitive listening devices. The pace, slow.
It's like pickup sticks. These logs are all intertwined. We can work on one side of an area, but once these logs become interlaced, we have to work from a different angle in order to get deeper in a certain spot.
By mid-afternoon, the death toll grows to at least 8. University officials say this project is a student-run operation with some adult supervision. The people who operate the heavy equipment are licensed. Another pyramid collapsed in 1994 without injuries because nobody was on it then. Today, bonfire advisor Rusty Thompson says he visited the site about 4 hours before the collapse.
And there was no indication to me that there was anything different or unusual about what was going on last night.
Texas Governor George Bush says he is deeply saddened.
My heart goes out to the parents. I just can't imagine what it means to have that happen to them.
The cause of this collapse is still unknown, but freshman Daniel Trimble has his suspicions.
I heard a pop, which is the center pole snapping, and then the wood falling.
For 90 years, students at Texas A&M have staged a bonfire the week of their football game against the University of Texas as part of what they call a sacred tradition. Tonight, nobody here expects a bonfire before the big game next week. Jim Cummins, NBC News, College Station, Texas.
And as the investigation continues into the cause of Egypt Air Flight 990 tonight, Egyptian authorities now are taking a much more active role, but U.S. officials continue to believe it was a deliberate, probably a suicidal crash. Here's NBC's Robert Hager in Washington once again. Robert.
Tom, some reports tonight of what that tape really sounds like. Sources tell NBC News the sounds on the Egypt Air cockpit voice recorder are just bone-chilling, horrifying. The captain trying to save the plane, shouting to his co-pilot over and over again, pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up. His voice rising in desperation each time. And just before the tape ends, 217 lives lost in the ensuing seconds. This as the investigation moves forward.
Egyptian officials arrive at the National Transportation Safety Board headquarters in Washington today, begin reviewing evidence from the cockpit voice recorder and flight data recorder. Ambassador Nabil Fahmy.
It's simply wanting to make sure that we reach the correct answers or the most probable answers before moving in one direction or the other. It's better to be late than to be wrong.
U.S. officials still believe it was a suicidal dive, mostly because the tapes reveal absolutely no sign of a mechanical problem to explain what's happening. They feel that's more important than the prayer heard on the tape. And they still believe the man in the cockpit alone when the dive begins is First Officer Gamil El-Batouti. And something new now, after the captain rushes back to the cockpit to see what's going on. Investigators believe they hear on the tape something that sounds like El-Batouti saying, "I did it," just as the plane's engines are cut. But they're not sure whether that means "I did it" caused this plane to go down, or whether he means "I did it" in response to an order from the captain to throttle back to save the plane. In Egypt, El-Batouti's distraught widow goes on television, says her late husband was a decent man. His son says U.S. reporters are wrong about his father.
They don't know anything about him.
Turns out El-Batouti was once trusted enough to co-pilot flights for Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak. And in New Jersey, Samar Kujan, who lost her husband on the fatal flight, files a $50 million suit. Her lawyer, Gerald Baker.
By filing the suit, it's a way of encouraging Egypt Air to stand up to their moral, humanitarian responsibility and to make a payment to these families now.
And there's more from the cockpit voice recorder.
Tonight, sources say El-Batouti is not simply identified on that tape by the sound of his voice. Instead, his name is spoken early in the tape, and that's how investigators link that name to that voice. This case moving forward rapidly now. There are reports it'll be turned over to the FBI as soon as tomorrow, and that would make it formally a criminal investigation. Tom?
Thanks very much, NBC's Robert Hager tonight in Washington. And there were some frightening moments today on an American Airlines 767. That's the same kind of plane as Egypt Air Flight 990. This flight was about 30 minutes outside of San Diego, California, en route to New York, when a hose that helps control cabin pressure ruptured with a loud bang. The pilot made an emergency landing in Palm Springs. NBC correspondent John Larson was on the flight. He said the plane was under control at all times and the passenger cabin never lost pressure. Nonetheless, several people were taken to the hospital with ear problems. Now to the summit meeting in Turkey, where world leaders and Boris Yeltsin squared off over Russia's military offensive in Chechnya. Yeltsin greeted President Clinton warmly today. Then the Russian president proclaimed others have no right to criticize his actions. Still, President Clinton said the concerns of those critics are legitimate.
What they fear is that the means Russia has chosen will undermine its ends. That if attacks on civilians continue, the extremism Russia is trying to combat will only intensify.
Yeltsin left the summit meeting early, but his spokesman insisted it was not a walkout. As NBC's Dana Lewis reports tonight, the stories that Chechen refugees are bringing out of their republic are beginning to sound like the horror in Kosovo.
The Russians insist they are not waging war on Chechnya, not attacking their own people. But for 7 weeks now, Russian troops have pounded this province, shelling, bombing, and sending troops in. The Russians say this is a defensive move to wipe out Islamic terrorists. But so far, 220,000 Chechens have fled their homes, fully 2/3 of the province gone, an exodus into a poor neighboring province. Fatima says it took her a terrible month to escape.
My month-old baby girl died by the side of the road. The Russians wouldn't let us through. The baby was hungry, cold. She got sick.
Up this road, the main checkpoint out of Chechnya, refugees say on some days, traffic is backed up 4 miles long. In their frantic dash to escape the war, Chechens say they are blocked by the Russian army, searched, interrogated, and many say robbed.
Everyone seems to have a horror story. These women say the Russians are bombing us, hitting our homes, not terrorists. NBC News obtained this video smuggled out by a family. They say it shows what the Russians are doing. Their village bombarded, a blood-stained baby crib, a neighbor killed.
Civilians are being fired on as they flee Chechnya. We've documented too many cases for that not to be true.
Once across the border, the refugees find safety but little help. The lucky take shelter in trains. 54 crammed into this one. Little heat, no electricity. At the local hospital, the lights are off and on. Candlelight to treat this woman. Her body riddled with bullets. She says Russian troops fired on her car. When the lights do come back on, she has only one question. Her boys have also been shot. She can't tell. Are they still alive? This woman, Azza, escaped with her children during a bomb attack. The loaves of bread are for dinner for 16 people in a small tent. The Red Cross says food will run out in 5 days. With temperatures near freezing, all the children in Azza's tent are sick with fevers. They are confused. If this is not a war, they ask, then what's happened to their lives? Azza says we are already tired of this life, fed up. Are we guilty just for being Chechens? We're begging you to help us. Dana Lewis, NBC News, the Chechen border.
Still ahead tonight, our special series, The Fleecing of America, Buyer Beware.
If someone's guaranteeing you rates of return that are higher than you could get from the U.S. government, I would be very suspicious of how are they going to make good on that guarantee.
Well, getting fleeced out of a lifetime of savings with a promissory note. How can you protect yourself? In depth tonight, a big finish to one of the worst hurricane seasons ever.
The other day, I'm driving down Broadway when that pastrami on rye catches up with me. Heartburn big time. My passenger says, here, take a Zantac 75. I say, what are you, a doctor? And he says, yeah.
The medicine in Zantac 75 is the #1 doctor-prescribed acid reducer. It relieves even your toughest heartburn, controlling acid for up to 12 hours.
A real gentleman, that doctor.
Zantac 75 for tough heartburn. Doctors know.
I am the scum buster. I make scum and mildew problems disappear. I make grease and dirt problems go away. If you got a messy situation, believe me, no one's gotta know. I'm the scum buster. I am built by Black & Decker.
Choosing a cranberry juice is confusing.
Premium cocktail, 27% juice, corn syrup. Avoid the confusion. Trust Northland to always be 100% juice.
Northland is pure genius.
Northland, always 100% juice.
You know, people still ask me about the crash. I'm tired of talking about the crash. I mean, first of all, it wasn't even really a crash. 1929. That was a crash.
Yeah, that was bad.
98 was more like a market correction, typically defined by like 10, 20% drop in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which we consider the economic factors that are affecting the current risk premiums.
When we created a smarter kind of investment firm,
Guess it's not that surprising.
we created a smarter kind of investor.
What do you know about expense ratios? An expense ratio is a percentage.
I may look young, but I still suffer from hot flashes. I discovered a natural way to deal with it. New Healthy Woman from the makers of Monistat. Healthy Woman's a soy menopause supplement that helps relieve hot flashes in a natural way. New Healthy Woman.
Enterprise? You rented our car from Enterprise?
Yeah.
Why Enterprise?
Because they pick us up. Free.
A free pickup? Wow. They ought to be #1.
They are #1.
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
New tonight at 6, scientists hope balloons will save salmon. Find out why this unique approach may help preserve an endangered species. Tonight at 6 on Northwest News Channel 8, where the news comes first.
The countdown to 2000 in Pioneer Courthouse Square has begun.
NBC News in depth tonight, high impact. 1999, one of the worst hurricane seasons ever. One measure of just how bad it's been, the insurance industry. More than $7.5 billion in losses so far this year from catastrophes like hurricanes and tropical storms. Now more misery, a late entry, a November hurricane. NBC's chief science correspondent Robert Bazell tonight on this storm, Lenny, and this monster hurricane season in depth.
Hurricane Lenny stalled in the Northeast Caribbean this evening, pounding several islands, including the popular vacation spots, St. Thomas and St. Croix. 135-mile-an-hour winds, torrential rains, 4 deaths reported so far.
Someone told me on Monday afternoon we were going to have a hurricane, and I thought they were pulling my leg.
At the National Hurricane Center in Miami, forecasters amazed at both the power of the storm and the fact that it is striking so late in the season.
It's freakish in that we haven't seen this before.
Hurricane season officially ends November 30th, but on average, only one hurricane appears every 5 years in November, and never in memory one as strong as Lenny. It almost hit Category 5, the highest on the Safer-Simpson scale.
Bob, I have to tell you, none of us here ever thought it would get as strong as it did to start with.
A big concern, Lenny is moving from the west, the opposite direction from most hurricanes, creating a special danger on the islands, where buildings and marinas are often on the west side to protect from hurricanes.
the thing that's really unusual about it is it's moving in the wrong direction.
Even before Lenny, this was one of the worst hurricane seasons ever. 16 tropical storms struck the Atlantic, Caribbean, and Gulf of Mexico this year. Most significantly, they included a record 5 Category 4 hurricanes with winds over 130 miles an hour. Brett and Cindy in August, Floyd and Gert in September, and now Hurricane Lenny. So what is going on? Many scientists blame La Nina, cool water in the Pacific Ocean. But many hurricane experts say the big storms come in cycles of 20 to 25 years. We had a quiet period from 1970 to 1994, but now they say those days are over for a long time to come.
Everything's changed. The change took place beginning in 1995.
A year ago, Dr. William Gray, one of the country's foremost hurricane experts, predicted this season almost perfectly. His forecast for next year, not quite as bad, but he sees a big danger for many years.
Well, I think it's the greatest natural hazard that the U.S. has.
A hazard that seems to be growing much worse, with Lenny only the latest reminder. Robert Bazell, NBC News, New York.
I'll be right back. A fleecing of America, some financial promises simply too good to be true. And later, her internet company has changed the way that millions are buying things, breaking through women on the job. A working mom who just happens to be a billionaire.
Change might do you good. Buy a new 2000 Oldsmobile Bravada and get a 6-disc CD changer at no extra charge. Plus $2,000 cash back. So you can rock, roll, and ride to hours of uninterrupted music. Get down to your Oldsmobile dealer today and start something loud.
Something new is here. A whole new way to take care of heartburn. Introducing Pepsid AC Gel Caps. Just one gel cap controls as much acid as a whole roll of Tums. An idea that's very easy to swallow. New Pepsid AC Gel Caps.
About free computers, but we haven't actually seen one. Not one with a monitor, 24-hour tech support, and the year of AOL included, like a Gateway PC with an Intel Celeron processor. Call 1-800-GATEWAY. For $28 a month, it's a PC you can believe in.
All right, kid. Here we go. 10-9. What do you got? What do you got? What? Yeah. All right, come on, come on.
What would you do if someone you loved had a heart attack?
Yeah.
Did you know it's now been proven that the same Bear aspirin you have in your bag for muscle aches may actually help stop you from dying if you take it during a heart attack?
Downtown. Lucky shot.
Can your pain reliever do that? Talk to your doctor now.
Next time I'll go easier on you.
Bear. Powerful pain relief and so much more.
Dr. Scholl's next stop, San Francisco.
Let's talk about feet. I do have corn. I've tried Band-Aids. They don't get rid of the corn.
This is Dr. Scholl's Cushland Gel Corn Removers. The Cushland Gel relieves the pain.
The medicated disc removes the corn.
It just feels so much better.
Well, my work here is done.
Same room as last year.
Feels like I have the same cold, stuffy, sneezing, fever. Last time, up all night. How can I focus at 6 a.m.? Try NyQuil. I'll feel better, even with a monster cold.
With NyQuil Relief, you can rest. And when you wake up...
Good luck, laddie.
NyQuil. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head fever, so you can rest and have a good morning medicine.
Tomorrow and today, a birthday party for the McCoys septuplets. We'll show you how they're doing and how Mom and Dad are coping with the terrible twos times 7. Tomorrow and today. It's like today, only later. Later today, weekdays on NBC.
Time now for the fleecing of America. When a promise in writing is simply not worth the paper it's written on, there's a fast-growing scam in America, promissory notes. A guaranteed return. The problem is, sometimes those promises turn out to be not promises at all. NBC's Chip Reed now.
Bill and Bernie McInturf, who live near Cleveland, thought they had it made, an investment with profits guaranteed in writing. So confident, Bill retired early and planned to spend more time at grandkids' football games, winter trips to Florida.
We just wanted to travel a little bit and just live our normal lifestyle, nothing elaborate.
The deal was spelled out here. It's called a promissory note. The McInturfs say their investment broker, Andrew Bodnar, convinced them it was a sure thing.
I just trusted him to do what was right.
It was supposed to work like this. The McInturfs would lend Bodnar almost $146,000, retirement money Bill had saved for 22 years. Bodnar would invest it, promising a return of hundreds of thousands of dollars.
When I found out that how much money I was going to get from him, plus my pension, I knew that we could make it.
They saw some of their money, but then payments stopped, and they say Bodnar wouldn't return their calls. Regulators are not surprised.
If someone's guaranteeing you rates of return that are higher than you could get from the U.S. government, I would be very suspicious of how are they going to make good on that guarantee.
In fact, government regulators say phony promissory notes are one of the fastest growing methods of investment fraud. Typically, investigators say a broker or insurance agent tells a client that an aggressive company, frequently offshore, needs cash and is willing to pay well above bank interest rates to get it quickly. In most fraud cases, the money simply disappears. Authorities say in Bodnar's case, much of the money went for his personal use. This is where he lived. The Securities and Exchange Commission has charged him with scheming to defraud investors of at least $6.4 million. You think you ever will get that money back?
I got hope. I got hope that I might.
Laura Royal heads a nationwide task force investigating more than 30 promissory note scams.
The worst part of these scams is that there are a lot of retired people, a lot of elderly people who have invested their life savings.
Ohio officials have revoked Bodnar's license to sell securities. Bodnar has not responded to any of the state or federal charges. He turned down NBC's interview requests. As for the McInturfs, they've sued Bodnar to recover their losses. They earn extra money cleaning an office on weekends, and Bill is considering going back to work to make up for being fleeced out of his life savings. Chip Reed, NBC News, Cleveland.
On Capitol Hill tonight, after months of battling with President Clinton, the House passed the $390 billion federal budget, now just one step away from final approval. In the Senate, however, there could be problems. Disputes over milk prices, coal mining, and satellite television could stall things even more. On Wall Street today, a rally. The blue chips were lifted by a better-than-expected earnings report from Hewlett-Packard. So the Dow finished up almost 153 points to close above 11,000 for the first time in 2 months now. NASDAQ was also up big, almost 78 points, another record for that market. I'll be right back with our special series, Breaking Through, Women on the Job.
You want to help with the dishes?
No.
I'll make dessert.
Okay.
Introducing new Pillsbury One-Step Brownie in its own ready-to-bake pan. Just pop it in the oven.
Whoa!
And eat.
I'm done. Done. Brownies. Wow, Mom.
With new Pillsbury One-Step Brownie, a great dessert is just one step away.
Thanks for your help.
Don't mention it.
Also, try One-Step Cookie for a snack.
With Transamerica Investments and Insurance Products, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to be financially successful. The people in the pyramid working for you.
Now there's a Chevy Venture with flip and fold seats and a built-in entertainment system.
I knew I should have taken a left turn at Albuquerque.
Fun things are bound to happen when Chevy and Warner Brothers get together. Introducing the new Warner Brothers edition from Chevy Venture, the most versatile minivan ever. One quick call can help you learn more.
Let's go!
Are we going to have a good time tonight?
Bye, Dad. Thanks for jumping in and watching Tyler.
Bye, Mommy, Mommy, Mommy.
There he goes.
If you knew you were going to be a babysitter today...
Oh, glad it wasn't my teeth.
You would have made sure you used Fixodent.
Come here. Oh, what are you doing?
Hey, smart move. You did use Fixodent. So now you're ready.
I gotta wait.
For just about anything. For an even better fit. Fixodent and forget it. At Transamerica, we have insurance products and investments for retirement that'll help you plan for your next career. The people in the pyramid, working for you.
Many women don't do anything about the risk of osteoporosis until menopause. But if you've turned 40, you're already losing bone mass. I'm past 40 now, but I don't worry. Because I take Oscal every day. I call it my osteoporosis insurance. Only Oscal has been proven effective in more clinical studies and comes from a natural calcium source and has been recommended by more doctors than Caltrate and Citracal combined. Don't wait until menopause. If you're over 40, don't take chances. Take Oscal.
She had a passion.
I really expected to be famous.
And he held the key. The remarkable, outrageous life of Cher.
Headliners and Legends with Matt Lauer, tonight on MSNBC.
This weekend on National Geographic Explore, fly with the dinosaurs. Then dive deep to discover treasures 25 centuries old. Explore, Saturday and Sundays on CNBC.
Tonight, more in our series, Women on the Job Breaking Through. In the brave new world of the internet, many of the old rules are gone, of course, including the old boy network that dominated big business for so long. As NBC's Kelly O'Donnell tells us tonight, for one woman, jumping off the old career track onto the new one paid off big.
A working mom worth $1 billion. A fortune made in less than 2 years, heading one of the internet's hottest companies, the largest auction website, eBay. An electronic swap meet where each day more than 3.3 million items go up for sale. Meg Whitman, CEO, a job she first considered a big risk.
No one had ever heard of eBay. And I left a terrific job at a very well-known company and moved my husband and 2 boys 3,000 miles across the country.
43 years old, a graduate of Princeton and Harvard Business School. Ambition nurtured by her mother, who she says taught her never to fear failure. Whitman moved up the ranks in corporate America, plenty of blue-chip management experience, but jumped into the upstart world of online business with surprisingly little knowledge of the net.
I think one of the things that I have learned over 20 years in business is that you just have to ask the stupid questions, because if you don't ask the questions, you will actually never learn.
She's learned a whole new style, a workplace without the usual trappings of success.
You don't have the big corner office. That's right. Everyone at eBay has cubicles that look exactly like this. And it's great, because I've not been in a cubicle for 20 years.
On most days, the boss, listed among Fortune magazine's 50 most powerful women, can be found wearing jeans.
We have a very young workforce, and they kind of don't like to get dressed up. And you know what? Neither do I.
But don't be fooled by the casual approach.
She's very much focused on winning competitively. She's one of the best strategists I've ever worked with.
Her scorecard so far, in her 2 years as CEO, eBay's workforce grew from 5 to 800. The stock, since going public, up 2,400%. Today, almost 8 million customers, and she's one of them.
When you shop on eBay, what do you buy? My 11-year-old and I buy Pokemon, paraphernalia, cards.
And sold on the idea she can break through again, even bigger, bidding to change the way the whole world shops. Kelly O'Donnell, NBC News, San Jose.
That's NBC News for this Thursday night. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you back here tomorrow night.
Nightly News is a presentation of NBC News. More Americans watch NBC News than any other news organization in the world. From KGW, where the news comes first, this is Northwest News Channel 8 at 6.
He was badly hurt and left for dead at a beer party in the woods. 2 months ago, Matthew Phipps emerged from a coma, but his recovery was slow. Tonight, we witnessed his remarkable turnaround as Matthew walks out of the hospital. It is our top story tonight. Hello, I'm Tracy Berry.
I'm Carol Jensen. Thank you for joining us tonight. Well, his recovery is nothing short of amazing. His progress speedier than doctors ever dreamed. News Channel 8's John Becker has followed this story for months now. He joins us live from Legacy Emmanuel Hospital tonight. John?
Carol, initially doctors warned the Phipps family